Alright, so here we have Insights channel, Steve here, and today I'm going to read to you from one of my books, Enoch Insights. This is chapter 5, where Enoch is addressing the fallen angels. And he says, verse 4, "But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord. But you've turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O ye hard-hearted, ye shall find no peace." Comment number 1, chapter 5, verse 4. But ye. Who is Enoch addressing here? Enoch addresses the evil watchers or the fallen angels. Contrary to what is often taught, I believe that it's very possible that Satan and his fallen angels were around before God created the physical dimension and the earth. I read a very interesting book where Jesus was asked why Satan had rebelled. In the book, Jesus mentioned that it came about when God came to present Jesus as his beloved Son and heir to all those assembled in heaven before the time of the creation and the physical universe. Apparently Satan did not like this, thinking that he himself should be the most highly exalted. Then he rebelled against God, along with a third of the angels in heaven. See Appendix 9 in my book to know more. And this, I think, makes a lot of sense why God would not forgive the fallen angels, as you will see in later chapters. Also why in chapter 5:4 the fallen angels shall find no peace. There is no peace without the Prince of Peace, who is Jesus. John 3:36. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life. He that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. Apparently that Satan and the fallen angels had already turned against Jesus in the spirit world before creation. Yeah. Amazing, huh? It's absolutely amazing. Verse 5. "Therefore shall ye execrate your days, and the years of your life shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied in eternal execration, and shall find no mercy." Comment 2. Execration, no mercy. Execration means a curse is upon them. No mercy because they'd already rejected Jesus before the creation of the world. Acts 4:12. "Neither is there salvation in any other, for there's none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved." Verse 6. "In those days you shall make your names an eternal execration unto the righteous, and by you shall all who curse, and all the sinners and godless shall imprecate by you. And for you, the godless, there shall be a curse. All the righteous shall rejoice, shall be forgiveness of sins, every mercy and peace and forbearance. There shall be salvation unto them, a goodly light. And for all of you sinners, there shall be no salvation, but on you all shall abide a curse." Comment 3. "Those who curse do so by the help of fallen angels or demons. There is, however, forgiveness of sins by salvation to the Saviour Jesus." Zechariah 5:3. "Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that steals shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and every one that swears shall be cut off as on that side according to it." John 1:9. "That was the true light, which lights every man that cometh into the world." Comment 4. When Enoch uses the word sinners, he is actually talking about the very wicked, and especially the fallen angels and their sons the giants, who later when they died became the demons or disembodied spirits of the giants. 7. "But for the elect there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom, and they shall live, never again sin. either through ungodliness or through pride. But they who are wise shall be humble. Matthew 5:5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. 8. They shall not transgress, nor shall they sin all the days of their life, nor shall they die of the divine anger or wrath, but shall complete the number of days of their life, and their life shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their life. Daniel 12:3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, they that turn many to righteousness as the stars for ever and ever. John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And now comes the infamous chapter 6 of Genesis, or Genesis 6. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. Comment 1. In Genesis chapter 6, as well as Jasher chapter 4, and Jubilees chapter 5, it talks about the same topic of the fallen angels coming to earth and procreating with human women. Genesis 6:1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, daughters were born unto them. And the sons of God, that's the angels of God, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and he took them wives of all that they chose. Genesis 6:3. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120. Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days. Also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Yes, they're mentioned by the Romans and the Greeks after the flood. Gods, maybe goddesses as well. But they were descended from the fallen angels and the giants. Jasher 4:16. And all the sons of men departed from the ways of the Lord in those days, as they multiplied upon the face of the earth, with sons and daughters, and they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued sinning against the Lord. This is in pre-flood times. Jasher 4:18. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men, and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice, and sons of men, sons of God, ? In those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowl of the air, taught the mixture of animals of one species with another, in order to therewith provoke the Lord. Look, they're doing this deliberately to make God angry, messing around with the species, doing it again today. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, and for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon earth, all men and all animals. That's why you hear of many types of hybrids throughout history. Roman history, Greek history. It's not made up. It's real. There do exist hybrids. I think they've more migrated down into the center of the earth, probably for their own safety against the madness of man. Jubilees 5:1-4. Came to pass, when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon. Well, I'd ask the question now, okay, they're beautiful to look upon, but so what? There must be beautiful women in heaven. If there are angels that are masculine that come down and be with the women here, there must also be female angels. Somebody asked me that question and said, why do you bother with coming down to be with the beautiful women on the earth when nobody had very beautiful women in the spirit world and female angels? Good question. Thank you for that question. Somebody asked that one. Yes, that is a very good question. But I think the answer to that is simple. It's made out as though the angels, the only thing they did wrong was to lust after some women on the earth, It's not the case. The fallen angels were trying to get away from the presence of God. They didn't want to be anywhere near the presence of God or the Spirit of God. And I brought out in my last book about the Holy Spirit being feminine, or Mother God. And these angels were rebellious against God and Mother God and Jesus. So they wanted to get away, and especially away from spiritual feminine. They wanted to get away from that. So they were trying to hide, going down to the other, trying to hide away from God. That's the point. They weren't just selecting beautiful women for wives on the earth. That's the easy way of looking at it. It's part of it, but it's not the whole picture. Also, I pointed out before that, you think about it for a moment, the spiritual women of heaven, or the spiritual beings of heaven, they would have told off those fallen angels. You bet they would. They would have put them in their place. And you know what guys are like? They don't like women telling them what to do, especially when they're rebellious. When a man's super rebellious, he won't listen to a woman telling him what to do. That's a fact. And get angry with her. So obviously, they thought that the women on the earth would be a walkover compared to the females in heaven. And they're trying to get away from God anyway. So that's my take on it. It's more than just fallen angels lusting after some particularly beautiful women. That's a much bigger picture than that. Anyway, you see what a terrible mess it made of the earth, because they weren't supposed to mix together. Well, it's a good question. Has it happened again since? Oh, I'm sure it has. When witchcraft circles and things like that, oh, you bet it's happened. Women with fallen angels, of course. But not on the level like in pre-flood times that totally destroyed the earth. It's obviously been highly restricted since then by God himself. Here's a very good verse in Jubilees. I really like the Apocryphal books. I think the Apocryphal books are some of the most important books for a Christian to know. Ancient Hebrew books, ancient Jewish, but they are fantastic. Here's Jubilees 5:1-4. And it came to pass when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon. They took themselves of all whom they chose, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted his way, alike men and cattle, beasts and birds, and everything that walked on the earth. How is this possible? All of them corrupted their ways and their orders. How is that possible? Here it's talking about one species corrupting itself with another species. How's that possible? You can't do that unless you change the cells of something, the DNA, in modern terms, which of course they're trying to do again. And they began to devour each other. Lawlessness increased on the earth. Every imagination of the thoughts of all men was evil continually. Well, you think for a moment here, I'll add some new things here. You think for a moment, in the pre-flood times, man had commanded God, not man, I got the wrong way. God commanded man and the animals that they should eat what? Meat? Be meat eaters? No. They were vegetable eaters. That's how it was supposed to be. But somewhere in the mix, because of these fallen angels and all the nonsense they got up to, and they started messing around with animals, not just the women on the earth, they started messing around with the animals and creating all kind of terrible things. Now you think, how's that possible? Because angels can change their forms. So they could have changed themselves into a creature, another animal. And they could have created other hybrids. That's how it started. That's why God was so angry. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. And all flesh had corrupted its orders. That's what it's talking about. And all that was upon the face of the earth had wrought. I'll tell you something. Here's something really interesting. You know, in the book Lord of the Rings, when I forget her name now, there's a princess there who's in love with a king, but she is one of these higher beings. And her father says to her, oh no, you can't stay with him or marry him because you will live a lot longer than him and he will die long before you, right? This is talking about the same sort of thing, the same sort of spiritual thing. Now, I can't talk about the feminine side of the spiritual world, I can't talk much about that. But obviously it exists. And it even shows it a little bit there in Lord of the Rings. You have to understand that these writers like Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, and C.S. Lewis with Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, they were Christians. And they tried to get across spiritual ideas in a way people could understand, even on a child level. Although I think their books are absolutely fantastic to bring out these spiritual things of the pre-flood times, about the giants and the monsters and the hybrids. They did a good job. Verse 2, and the angels and the children of heaven lusted after them, said one to another, come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Jasher, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed. I alone will have to pass the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath, bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, it's like self-cursing, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swore they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. Comment 2. Probably one of the reasons why Jesus said, Matthew 5:34 through 37, but I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great God. Neither shall you swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. And let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. Whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. Verse 5. And there were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. Comment 3. The word Hermon from Mount Hermon means forbidden and cursed. 6. These are the names of their leaders. So here's the leaders, those original fallen angels, original 200 fallen angels. Jasher, their leader Arakiba, Ramiel, Kokabiel, Tamel, Ramiel, Danal, Ezekiel, Barakijah, Azael, Amaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zaquiel, Samsapiel, Satarel, Turel, Jomjael, Sariel. These are their chiefs of tens. Wow. That's amazing. And here's chapter 7. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. Why didn't they take 10? Why they took one wife? I think when you think about kings who came later who had a lot more wives, like King David had 14 wives, why did the fallen angels only choose one woman when they had the power to take a lot more? I think it shows very clearly that that was not the main ambition they had in coming to the earth. They were just trying to get away from God, the presence of God, I'd say. So grab a woman and see what happens next. And then they didn't stay with the women that long. And then they started doing other things, which I won't get into. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, well, at least initially, and they began to go in unto them to defile themselves with them. And he taught them charms and enchantments, and a cutting of roots, and made them acquired with plants. Of course, the more they did what they were doing with the women, the more light left them, and the more darkness entered them, and the more they became evil. But I also suspect that because, as you know, when a man has a relationship with a woman, initially there would have been some light there, there would have been some feelings there, but eventually all the light and feelings and emotions all disappeared, and they became as monsters. Very sad story, very, very sad. You have to understand about these fallen angels that they were, compared to us, they were like 17-year-olds. God says about them later in this very book that they hadn't yet, say, seen the light, they hadn't yet risen. They were too young, and that's why I think you can say that they tell us today that the worst accidents on the road are caused by 17-year-old boys. 70% of deaths. Think of that. Because they're foolhardy, and they take risks like these original 200 fallen angels. Comment 1. The beginning of witchcraft. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. Yeah, that's pretty scary stuff, isn't it? That's when the sons became so big that feeding them normal food didn't work anymore. Couldn't eat fruits and vegetables anymore, so they started devouring people instead. Became monsters. Comment 2. Women on earth became pregnant with giant children whose height was 3,000 ells. How high is 3,000 ells? Modern measurement, 1 ell is 2.87 feet, which obviously can't be the same measurement as in ancient times. Otherwise, 3,000 ells would equal about 9,000 feet high. Some say 3,000 ells was in reality back then about 450 feet high. That's according to Steve Quayle. If there were giants so high as anywhere from 9 to 450 feet high, what did they eat? Well, the fact is they became cannibals. Yeah, you can see the appendix in my book to see more on that. Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were old men of renown, gods. Baruch 3:26-28 is another apocryphal book. There were giants, the giants famous from the beginning. They were so great stature and so expert in war. Those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge to them. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom, and perished through their own foolishness. Verse 3. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, to devour one another's flesh, drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Comment 3. These giants turned to cannibalism and must have had incredible powers, such as we'd never seen on the earth in modern times, as they were literally the sons of angels and women. The amazing thing is that somehow they managed to corrupt the DNA of birds and beasts as well as reptiles and fish to create hybrids or chimeras. Why did the fallen angels or watchers create chimeras? Well, apparently the problem they had was that God had made all of his creation with a soul, which caused problems. If they could create a soulless chimera, which God simply had not created, then it was easier for evil spirits to enter in and control that hybrid. Thus was the beginning of the Minotaur, the Centaur, reptilians, mermaids, and many other chimeras. This apparently happened both before and after the flood. These creatures and other monsters, giants and titans, were made infamous by both Greek and Roman mythology, and by most cultures on earth. When the giants, the sons of the fallen angels, died, they became demons in the negative spirit world, who constantly lusted for power and violence, always looking for a human on the physical earth, or even better still, a hybrid to enter into, so as to temporarily return to the physical realm in order to enjoy all the lusts, violence, and power thereof. If a demon possesses a human, it can be cast out. But if it enters a soulless creature, such as a chimera, it is much easier to remain in. Most of these chimeras have not been detected by most people on earth at any given time in its history, both past and present. They tend to be hidden away somewhere or on very much keep to themselves. This comes under the topic of cryptozoology, study of hidden animals. Well, that was the end of chapter 7 of my book, Enoch Insights, and I would encourage people to get hold of my books on Enoch. I think they have a lot of information, interesting information in them. Enoch Insights and also The Secrets of Enoch Insights. So thanks for listening, and you can go on my website, which is www.insightspublication.com. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.